I need most of the people to stand up and come over in this direction so you can see what's on this table right here. She's built something brilliant. So let's. I need people to stand up, and because I can see what everybody's building, but if you're sitting down, and so can you tell us a little bit about what you've just built here?
A tree.
Yes. Okay. And then you have another tree right here. How would you describe your tree? Pine tree. So were you thinking anything particular with the kind of tree you were building? Okay.
Deciduous tree.
A deciduous tree.
Wintertime, and there's no leaves.
Okay, so it's winter, there's no leaves. We have kind of a straight trunk, but we have this irregularity with where the branches are going. And I wanted to go, some of yours fell. I was going to come find out what you were doing over here.
Well, it was for like little hanging plants.
Okay.
Because whenever I go to gardens, they have them growing on the little archway. So I had an archway for them.
Okay, beautiful. And then you're going to have plant boxes around there. Lovely. Okay, and I wanted to go over here. Tell me about what you've made.
Yeah, I'm feeling the kindergarten thing. It's a little flower.
Okay.
A little grass with a flower.
All right, beautiful. And I want to, if we were to, hopefully you can see that from over there. If we were to put some leaves on there like that, do you know the difference between if the leaves are positioned like that or like that? Does anybody know what that's called? Yes. Yes, alternate or opposite. So this is opposite when they're right next to each other, and that is alternate when they're like that. And if you're going out to look at trees in the middle of winter when there's no leaves, it's fairly easy to identify a tree when there's leaves, but when there's no leaves, you better look at the branching because some trees have opposite and some have alternate. Maples are all opposite. There's just a handful of trees that are opposite. Most of them are alternate. A lot of kids have never even looked at a tree long enough to notice that there's any difference. And so for kids to be able to discover that and start to understand that that's how if you're opening up a tree book to try to figure out what kind of tree you're looking at, that's one of the things you'd be looking at. And I wanted to look around. We have, and I see you have a couple of opposite branched leaves right there on yours right now. Very good. And we have a corn. Okay. So she's got some corn going there, which looks similar to the pine tree. But part of what I'm doing right now is I'm asking you about what you built because I may have guessed that was a pine tree, but once you describe it to me, I can see exactly that that's corn growing up there. And I wouldn't have really. I had an idea that you were building sort of a garden here, but I needed you to be able to describe that. But as we start to build things like this, we talk about branches, the way branches come. We talked about. There's a root system under here. Sometimes you could do this and create the soil line and then try to build what would be under the soil that you normally can't see and talk about how that is different. And I want to go back to this flower. If we were to add some little things sticking up like this out of her flowers, anybody know what we might call those? The pistils and stamens, that's how flowers reproduce. So we've got all these botanical words that we just learned by building these plants. A lot of you did things that were kind of structural. So I would love to go and find out what some of you others were building. Like, let's hear about this. This looks like you're doing container gardening or something. Okay, so she's got a potting shed, all of those things, this whole story that was going on in her mind while she was starting to build that. And so I also get to learn something about her that I bet you enjoy gardening. Sometimes. But even to know that there's such a thing as square foot gardening, and she wants to do raised beds so she doesn't have to weed so much and all of that. So all of these things we can learn about each other.